everyone, welcome to an analysis of dance, where we discuss the movements and debuts of the Billboard Hot Dance charts in immaculate detail, with in-depth reviews of each debut each week. Oh my god, that's 4 weeks in a row of busyness, but this one caught me completely off guard. Not only did we get an absolute destruction of the charts courtesy of a surprise album bomb from Ava Max of all people, but also a ton of other big debuts that I can see having some considerable staying power too. This is arguably the busiest weeks for the charts since Odessa's album bomb last year, and given that Ava Max has pop crossover potential, I can see a lot of her album actually lasting, at least for the next few weeks. But before we get to that, our top 10, where I'm Good Blue by David Guetta and B Rexha is on the downswing, and with streaming and sales doing poorly in comparison to his insane radio. Geez, really telling how people actually feel about this song. Let's move on. Thankfully, BZApp Music Sessions Volume 53 by BZApp and Shakira is at number 2. Where streaming is huge and radio is mostly on board, I can see a lot of potential in this. I gotta hope it takes number 1 soon. Unfortunately though, we aren't getting rid of Cold Heart P&A remix by Elton John and Dua Lipa, which somehow rebounded up to number 3 because people aren't letting go of this thoroughly overexposed and basic crap. I mean, I'm not exactly upset that its worst counterpart, Hold Me Closer by Elton John and Britney Spears, is down to number 4, where people are really throwing this one out in record time, thank Christ for that. What's looking promising though is 1035 by Tiesto featuring Tate McRae at number 5, where the radio is slowly picking this up and streaming is huge. This has the potential to go much higher. Can we please make that happen? Moving past Miss You by Oliver Tree and Robin Schulz at number 6, and BZApp Music Sessions Volume 52 by BZApp and Quevedo at number 7, we're just starting to slip on streaming with nothing to really elevate them. We actually got a brand new debut at number 8, which genuinely took me aback. Trustfall by Pink. Now, I'll get to this later on, but the streaming and sales are absolutely solid, even if radio hasn't got a damn clue what to do with this. It's bizarre to me that this was able to cross over at all, given Pink's other EDM-leaning songs like Can We Pretend got mostly ignored. But hey, it's a nice change of pace to an otherwise stacked top 10, I'll definitely take it. This meant that Break My Soul by Beyonce fell down to number 9, where the streaming is the only thing keeping this afloat as radio continues to ditch it. But what's interesting is actually Metamorphosis by Interworld remaining steady at number 10, thanks mostly to leading the charge on streaming. The fact this was going to overtake one of the bigger fall-offs this week was really interesting to note. This might actually pick up a bigger run soon, and I'm all for it. But yeah, about that. Our falls and fall-offs, where we saw some big collapses across the board. I mean, just in our guaranteed year-end contenders, we had Thick by Beyonce, Make You Say by Zedd, Maren Morrison, and Bose, and even Numb by Marshmello and Khalid. That last one is huge, arguably the biggest dropout of 2023 so far. But that's not even including our other songs like Worst Day by Illenium and Max, Alright Off the Gains, and Forever by Griffin featuring Ellie Duhay, as well as some potential returns next week for Chill Like That by Sunday Scaries and Pickup Lines, as well as, sadly, both Blur with Better With Time and Delilah Pull Me Out of This by Fred Again. But then we also got to talk about our falls, and Jesus Christ, we had 18 of them this week. Seriously, this Ava Max album bulldozed through and left little fighting to stop it. I mean, let's get our continued falls out of the way first, being Work With My Love by Alok and James Arthur down to 50, Make Me Feel by the Chainsmokers and Cheyenne Gills at 46, Alive by KX5 featuring The Moth and the Flame continuing to miraculously hold steady at 40, A Milli remix by Lil Wayne and Side Piece down to 36, and Clouds by Buns and Nate Traveler at 28. Outside of that, well, the only song that stuck in the top 25 that fell this week was Lay Low by Tiesto at 21, and Skrillex saw losses for Way Back with Pink Pantheress and Trippie Redd at 29, and Leave Me Like This with Bobby Raps at 27, but then that leaves all the rest going from the bottom up. World Hold On Fisher remix by Bob Sinclair featuring Steve Edwards at 48, Believe by A-Craze featuring Good Boys at 47, Messy in Heaven by Venby and Godard Off the Games to 44, Lionheart Fearless by Joel Corey and Tom Grennan losing a bit to 42, Jungle by Fred Again sadly on its final week at 41, In the Humor by Chris Lake and Arctic down to 39, All By Myself by Alex Segala and Ellie Goulding at 38, Drugs from Amsterdam by Mal P at 34, which is likely on its final week too and replaced by the new single, Miss You by Southstar at 31, and These Nights by Loud Luxury featuring Kiddo finally on its way out at 30. And you'd think that this would mean we get no jumps or comebacks this week, except we somehow got one of each, and they genuinely shocked me. I mean, there was the possibility of Dash Star by Knock 2 rebounding, but all the way up to 43 off a return of the lowest possible spot in the dance charts last week on this week is really unbelievable to me. I can only hope it becomes a hit. Even more shocking was Trench by Fetish returning at 49. Maybe this is a sign it could actually become a hit. That's a really promising sign, not gonna lie. But okay, we had 13 debuts this week, 8 of which are by Ava Max. Pardon me if I try to keep these reasoning shorter than usual. So yeah, anyways, let's start with number 37, Turn Off the Lights by Ava Max.
Turn off the lights, we're coming alive, coming alive. Turn off the lights, turn off the lights, turn off the lights, we're coming alive, coming alive.
Okay, so since there's so many Ava Max songs this week, I aim to keep these short, especially given the stylistic variation or lack thereof on this album means talking about these songs is a lot harder. Anyways, this leans more on elements of new disco with a really groovy P&A-US disco beat and a great bassline that builds well into the hook and post-chorus drop that sounds great. Even if I will admit the pitch-shifted vocals on the drop are a bit awkward overall. I will say I wish this song lent more on the euphoric swell of the lyrics where Ava Max was seeking that next step and move from a potential lover. Give this more of the string integration from the intro and the end of each build-up and this would have been way better. As it is though, yeah, really damn promising start. Damn good song. But before we get to more Ava Max, number 35, Gimme That Bounce by Mal P. The persistent success and hype behind Mal P has been genuinely exciting to see. I really like Drugs from Amsterdam and seeing it become a solid hit is great. It continues to keep on growing on me. But okay, here's the long-awaited follow-up and man, I really like this one too. It's definitely more club focused with the darker bassline against the incredibly crisp tech house beats that uses the vocal samples quite well before transitioning into these abstract pre-drop passages that sound tailor-made to hype up crowds at concerts, which given the title makes total sense. It's a really nice touch. This song just maintains a great vibe throughout, pushing the energy the entire time and making each build-up sound super satisfying to listen to. Nothing much more to say. Mal P is 2 for 2 with singles for me. I really like this. I hope it picks up traction. Really great song. Number 33, What's It Gonna Take by Cheat Codes and Mitchell Tenpenny.
I do anything to get over you.
Okay, seriously, did anyone actually want this album? I mean, seriously, Cheat Codes couldn't even do their standard future bass stuff well on average. What makes them think people would want a badly produced soulless cash grab country EDM album in one night in Nashville that much? I mean, How Do You Love was hot garbage, and now turning to the first of their 2 charting songs this week from said album Impact, yeah, this is fucking garbage. For one, can we just leave Mitchell Tenpenny in the dust? He's one of the worst mainstream country artists in the industry with his fried out fake sounding twang that has no power, no presence and sounds completely checked out, especially with all the god-awful vocal effects that compress his voice to total mush here. The production behind him is bad too, where the guitars clash so badly against the trap beats and a faster tempo that sounds fucking dreadful. Speaking of dreadful, the lyrics here are essentially a watered down follow-up to True About You, his absolutely garbage charting song that I'm fairly sure nobody actually likes or listens to. Seeing Mitchell Tenpenny be so fucking miserable about the process of his girl moving on, where he's claiming to drink all the whiskey and still not be over her, as well as the charming line, go out every night like you just turned 21, right before lines talking about hooking up with women to then send them home in the morning because he's still not over her. God damn it, this is creepy and not sexy at all. This man is 33 years of age but sings with the mental capacity of someone who hasn't had sex and doesn't know what personal space is. So the entire song is just gross, all the way down. So yeah, trash. Skip it. Number 32, Get Out of My Heart by Ava Max.
Get out of my bed, get out of my heart. You rolled up your tail, you took it too far. So pack up your bags, get out of my heart.
This song follows in this very similar manner to that of What's It Gonna Take, although thankfully, unlike that disaster, this is actually written well, where Ava Max is aware that most times she doesn't really feel heartbreak towards this guy, but it's those lonely nights at home where she wants to relive the experiences. The romance was just that good. It's a very relatable take that's aware of how pathetic this makes Ava Max look, but knows that this is just the reality of human connection and romance. Some really nice vocal chops that are actually a sample of Twisted Nerve by Bernard Herrmann, which would later be sampled in Chill Bill by Rob Stone, Jay Davis and Spook and sound just as good here. As well as a solid hook and some nice driving house groove that, yes, does feel a bit lacking in low-end melodies, but still sounds quite good. Yeah, this is another solid song from this album. I quite like this. Number 26, Cold as Ice by Ava Max.
Not the type to keep you warm at night. Better believe it, baby. Cold as ice. I'll never stay for too long, too long. I'm gone. Cold as ice.
Yeah, this one didn't really do much for me at all. The slower plodding swing tempo with some really loud synthwave leaves that just don't match anything else, especially on the drops where the bass just overpowers the song and sounds really flat. Ava Max also sounds really awkward and choppy with some odd vocal effects that make her voice sound quite unnatural, especially with lyrics that might imply murderous imagery, as Ava Max warns her partner of the dangers he's getting into thanks to her past experiences, but don't really fit with the brighter sound of the production, especially when there's still not very clear details here. Not a bad song, I get why people like it, but but not for me either. Next, number 25, Diamonds and Dancefloors by Ava Max.
I miss the rhythm, keeping me warm, drowning in glitter, glitter and gold. All that I ask for, ask for, ask for.
The title track to this album, and damn, I really like this one a lot too. It's another straightforward house cut, but has a lot of really gorgeous melodies floating around as Ava Max's voice feels the most expressive it's been, bending vocal notes to their limit as she sings once again about her desire to get lost in the music and party she once had. The hook here is really catchy, the second verse uses the vocal samples to great effect as she gets lost in the haze of the experience, and there's just something so relatable with this being someone who has fought through dark moments in his life thanks to music and dancing. I can definitely say I've been there. So yeah, great song, easily one of the best on the album for me. Number 24, Something's Coming by Cheat Codes and Bladee.
Feel it out the dark, I can't see it. Coming, 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 coming. And I hear the call. 'Cause hearts change like seasons.
Okay, so I at least expected this would be mildly better than that Mitchell Tenpenny trash. At least all of the singers in Bladee can actually sing, and given they charted here on Audience Something Better, I was hoping this would be passable, and yeah, this sucks too, albeit less than what's it gonna take. I mean, it had some potential on the verses. Charles Kelly sounds really nice on the mic, even if his harmonies with Hilary Scott sound a bit flat on the build-ups, and the verses had a decent vibe, even if the guitars sound terribly blended alongside the hand claps. But then those drops come in and sound absolutely horrible. Like, think of Avicii's country fusions, but with none of the missing quality, terrible percussion with some really cheap hi-hats, auto-tuned vocal chops that overpower the whole mix and have barely any actual melody outside the chord progression. Yeah, these are bad drops. Completely taking out of a song that had some potential. So yeah, this is bad too. And I'm glad after this week I won't have to worry about this godforsaken album. Pass. Number 20, Real Spring by Skrillex and Bladee.
Reality spins. Life inside a prison, stuck inside a prison, cross the rainbow bridge.
Okay, I was a little less overly hyped for this, given I've never been a Bladee fan by any means, and given this is another popular song, which based on the single art for this and way back means they'll either be on the same half of one album or their own album entirely, I was a little concerned that this would be a total slip for me. Thank God they proved me wrong though, because this is a really solid little hyperpop trap song. For one, I really like the trap production here. It's remarkably clean and the synths sound super rich and organic. Perfect for a song reflecting on the good times of spring. I also don't mind the pitch shifted vocals, although I will say it did take me a while to get used to them. They fit in the similar veins of Porter's vocals across Nurture. The real highlight though is the drop at the end, which doesn't destroy the vibe but still hits with enough impact to really click for me. Now I do wish this song was a little bit more developed beyond just over 2 minutes. I really like this one a fair bit too. Good stuff. Number 17, Maybe You're the Problem by Ava Max.
Just like a time bomb, and I think you should take a second just to look at your reflection, baby. Maybe you're the problem.
This one seems to be the most divisive amongst fans of Ava Max, especially thanks to it being the most aggressive dismissal of her ex on the entire album. And yeah, I actually really like this one, a lot surprisingly. Yes, it's petty where Ava Max hears the constant bullshit surrounding this guy, both from those involved in his shit and his previous partner, and straight up tells him to look in the mirror and fix himself. But the framing makes the guy look like a total dick, even if I do wish there was a bit more detail in the writing and some more self-reflection on Ava's part for falling for this guy to begin with. Still, it's smartly written, the synth pop groove is once again very fun, the little melodies across the song are very nice, the hook is once again incredibly catchy, it's just a tight, fun pop song. Even if it did take the album bomb to actually be counted for some reason, it's still just as good as when it was released as a single. Really good song. Number 13, One of Us by Ava Max.
One of us would give it up. One of us would risk it all. One of us won't even call.
Okay, yeah, I'm so happy this debuted as high as it did. It's probably my favorite song on the album. The tight synth pop groove with some incredible synth production against some gorgeous backing tones and a really propulsive drumline creates such a pretty vibe, which then explodes into one of Ava Max's best hooks to date, as she goes into her higher range for something goddamn close to anthemic. It's the lyrics though that really elevate this for me, where Ava Max is faced with the unfortunate reality of having to end a relationship she thought was heavenly, but also having conflicting emotions of hurting this guy long term, acknowledging that she would give up the world for it, but also knowing it won't save the relationship, she has to end it. Just a goddamn potent, truly great song. I can only hope this sticks around and becomes a hit. Goddamn terrific. Highly recommended. Number 12, Ghost by Ava Max.
You stay on my mind, can't help but keep you close. Oh baby, everywhere I go, I'm haunted by your ghost. You're the one I love, and I fear the most.
The highest of at the new songs from the album, and honestly it's a pretty damn good one, but not amongst my favorite on the album. The hook is quite punchy with a really good vocal line that reminds me of Chain My Heart by Topic and BB Rexha, albeit way better than that song. The spacious synth production really plays well against the harder tech house beats with some great bass backing everything, and I quite like the spacey imagery in the lyrics. It adds to the huge feel of the song as a whole. That being said, the short bridges after the second and third hook definitely detracts from this, where the vocals are overlapped in a really unflattering way, where the mixing makes them way quieter for some reason. They take me out of the vibe, which is a goddamn shame because otherwise I quite like this. Good song, but it could have been great, just saying. Number 11, $1 Million Baby by Ava Max.
She's $1 million baby, nobody can explain it. She's a miracle. She's a miracle.
Okay, I'll be totally honest, while I kinda get the appeal here, I'm not huge on this song at all personally. It's the poppier side of Ava Max that I never really connected with in the same way I did with her best material, which had a lot more tightness and felt way more lively than this did. The hook feels quite empty here, where Ava Max is the only real melody of note. The production feels very messy on the verses, where the backing synths don't really complement the percussion at all, and the repetitive as hell lyrics with repeating lines talking about Ava's vision of $1 million baby who seeks danger, they don't match with this sound at all and get very tedious. Look, it's not the worst of Ava Max's songs this week. The hook is quite solid in despite of its emptiness, but it's not one of the better ones either. Sorry. Next. And finally, number 8, TRUSTFALL by Pink. Never would I have thought that Pink would ever debut here. I mean, like I said before, Can We Pretend, a goddamn Cash collab released as a single that hit number 1 on the club charts, wasn't even considered dance enough for the hot dance charts. So seeing this new single and title track for Pink's upcoming album produced by Fred again had me really curious, and wow, this might actually be her best song for me. Yeah, I'm dead serious, I was floored by how good this is. It's a fantastic track. For one, the production is gorgeous, shocker from Fred again, focusing on a very clear house beat with a really nice bass heavy lead that gives off this huge bombastic feel to it, where Pink can flow so well with an incredible vocal performance, especially on the hook, where the song explodes with stunning synths in her signature upper range that gives the song a lot of punch for me. Combine that with some really cute lyrics where Pink wants to push past the boundaries with this guy, where the TRUSTFALL refers to them abandoning trust to see new areas of each other. I'm honestly kinda stunned this worked at all, especially given Pink's other single on the Hot 100, Never Gonna Not Dance Again, was pretty mediocre. This has me really hopeful that TRUSTFALL will be a solid album, because this is goddamn fantastic. I love this. And even in a week as great as this, it's easily the best of the week. What a terrific song. Honourable Runner-Up is pretty hard, but I think I'm going to give it a tie for both One of Us by Ava Max with Gimme That Bounce by Mal P. Although the title track and Real Spring by Skrillex were both very close behind it. Worst and Dishonourable Runner-Up are easy though, both going to cheat codes with What's It Gonna Take with Mitchell Tenpenny easily taking the worst, and Something's Coming with Lady A as the Dishonourable Runner-Up. Let's throw these in the ditch and leave cheat codes behind like we should have done years ago. Please? Next week, Skrillex yet again, although I'd be curious to see what returns and survives after this destruction. We'll have to see. But yeah, that's all for this episode of the analysis of dance. See you next time.